got you. Baby, and for the rest of my life, I wanna spend every night doing whatever you like.
I'm Madeline Woods, and I'm going to introduce my husband, Michael Woods, and we call him Big Mike. If you know him from high school, they'll probably say Woody or Woods. But Big Mike is from Atlanta originally. He's a Grady baby. He loves to say I'm a Grady baby. And his profession has mainly been in the airline industry, and he's worked in several capacities. He's even been a flight attendant. And this is going to tell our age. He was a flight attendant with Eastern in the 80s, but he's a manager now with American Airlines. And he likes to also be called Coach Mike because he loves football, and he loves coaching, and he loves mentoring, and he's actually helping one of the guys that he actually coached, who is now a coach. And so a lot of people call him to help coach their sons. And he loves it because that's how he made it to where he is through coaches in high school and coaches in college. And he's a great guy, and I really like him. You know, people ask, what is the secret? And I say, I like him as a person. Not only do I love him, but I like him. He's a great guy. And he's fun. Yay.
Wow.
Top that.
It's going to be tough. This is my wife, to my left, Natalie Woods. That's Nataline, not Natalie. Natalie. Natalie is from Memphis, Tennessee, and she went to Mississippi Valley State. Can you believe that? It's a Mississippi Valley girl right here. I call her a little butterfly. She's just all over the world, literally, and tease her all the time. She's my best friend. Love her dearly. She loves to fly. I think that's why she married me, because I'm in the airline industry. So we enjoy each other. She's been a professor for years. I'm not going to tell her age. She taught at Kennesaw State University. She also taught at Columbus State University, and she finished up at Atlanta Metro. So just imagine you have a teacher here, and every word and pronunciation that I make, I'm being checked, even at home while I'm sleeping. So this is what they say. This is my boo boo.
Not boo boo.
This is my boo boo. So that's it. We met years ago at a nightclub. I saw her at a bar, and I approached her.
It's not a bar.
Was it bar?
Oh, we were at the bar?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know bar? It was a club. It was a club and a bar. But anyway, we have two different versions of this story.
But you were sitting at the bar.
Was I?
Yes. Okay. Anyway, we met then, and we went out one time, but I wasn't her type the first time around. So she quit me after that.
One time.
She quit me after that. Go ahead and say your side of the story.
Do you want to finish?
I'm done.
Okay, so you asked, how did we meet? We did meet in a club, and we were very, very young. We were in our 20s. And when we went on our first date, I think he was nervous because I was wonderful, but he didn't show me his true personality. So he was very quiet, and we didn't laugh or anything. So I said, oh my God, he's a dud. So anyway, fast forward many, many, many years, and I was also teaching at Literacy Action, so I had a volunteer. I had several volunteers. So the volunteer was telling me about her platonic boyfriend, and I was just listening and saying, what's wrong with him? He seems like a nice guy. So then we see this baby in a shopping cart, because we had satellite programs in different places, and this one happened to be at the Kroger store down the street from Atlanta Metropolitan, which was unique because I ended up at Atlanta Metropolitan. But when I saw this baby, I said, this baby looked like somebody I used to go out with. And before I could get whipped out, Michael appeared. I said, "This your baby?" He said, "That is not my baby." And that's another story. The lady came up with house shoes and rollers, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, I was dating somebody else, and we had dated for a year. And Michael said, if this guy had not, he's not gonna marry you if you've been dating him a year and he hadn't said anything about marriages. So anyway, I got mad and stopped talking to him then. That's when caller ID first came out, and I would see that number 44344 and would not answer. Needless to say, me and the guy did not get married. He was a jerk. But anyway, fast forward. After that, Michael said, he told me later that he had prayed for a wife because he was now a manager at FedEx, and he felt like he was better prepared to have a wife. So we started seeing each other in different places, at a Super Bowl party, at another lounge, at several different, and then we saw each other at a home party. It was a party at someone's home. We were mutual friends to this person. And Michael said, I know how to get you. I'm going to take you out to Papa Do's. Now you got to understand, Papa Do's had just come to Atlanta, so that was a big deal. So he took me out, and he took me out one time. Then the next time, and I got to tell this story, was Valentine's Day. So I wanted to buy a generic gift because we weren't serious.
Pressure was on me.
So I went to buy a generic gift, and I bought soap on the rope from like Bath and Body, and a generic card. I didn't want to get something mushy and all that. And my girlfriend, who's actually someone I had grown up with, said, anybody that gets, because I said, what if he doesn't buy me anything? She said, anybody that does not get you a gift on Valentine's Day and he's taking you out is a jerk. I called her and said, guess who the jerk is? But anyway, I realized from that point on, he was fun. That's when he showed his true personality, and he was fun and funny, and he was laughing and cracking up and had me laughing, and I really, really saw the true person. Was that good? See the difference?
Hey, you're it.
So that's how we met. That's how we really got together the second time. Our marriage is very non-traditional in the sense, not that we're doing anything differently, except when we got married, again, I was telling you, Michael was in the airline, well, still is. He's in the airline industry, but at that time, he ended up working in New Orleans and Dallas. So when he was doing that, he had to, of course, live there. And then he worked at night. And then he's worked in, where else? In Charlotte for like years. So that way,
I did Memphis.
He did Memphis,
Gulfport,
other places. So he worked out of town. So that made us not be a traditional couple. And what I did, because we were older when we got married, we were not in our 20s. And so we were a lot older. So I kept my girlfriends, and most of my girlfriends are single. And I'm so glad that I did that, because if I had not interacted or hung out with my single girlfriends or my girlfriends, I would have been by myself, because I really didn't fit with married women, because the married women have children. So if the married women had the children, then I would not have, fitted in that program. So because I had my friends, I was able to still kind of hang out in a good way and do different things. That was, of course, things that I could do.
Right.
So that made us not be a traditional couple. But one of the other things, we both allow each other to be our individual selves. So that helps. I think we got married in our 20s.
Wouldn't work.
It would, well, first of all, it wouldn't work. And second of all, it would have been harder, because I am a butterfly, as he mentioned. But I'm going to let him share his insight or his comments on how it's not traditional.
Well, one of the things that helped me was my mother. She told me, my father passed away when I was 8 years old. And I asked my mom, why didn't she ever remarry? And she told me, she said, one of the reasons she didn't remarry was because she wouldn't have found another man that could treat her like my dad. But then she said that one thing that she regretted was when she was married, she didn't keep her friends. So she always told me, she said, if you ever get married, son, keep your friends. And so I brought that to the marriage. And when we got engaged and about to get married, and I saw that Miss Butterfly over here had about 40, 50 girlfriends. And how many was in the wedding?
It was about 12.
No, that was just the bridesmaids. What was the
Okay, we had
30.
We had 12 bridesmaids and groomsmen. We had 2 matrons. We had 10 or 12 hostesses, and we had 10 honorary.
Right.
So that's my side. So Michael, of course, had to match a lot of those.
No, I couldn't match. I only
And
had 2.
the theme was it takes a whole village to raise a child. So that was a good wedding.
So that was my reason for allowing her to keep her friends. And let's just say I was traditional and said, okay, you can't have any friends, that would have just messed up her own personality, messed up her. We probably would have been together. So consciously, I be quiet.
Yes, that kept that. Oh my God, that saved us.
So
both grandfathers told him to be quiet. My grandfather and his grandfather, because what was going on in the beginning, he was going back and forth. And you know, women we like to talk and we like to vent and we're emotional, and he would go toe to toe. And his grandfather did like this to him. And ever since the grandfather did it, and both grandfathers showed scenarios where the grandmothers were coming in, bickering, they would be quiet, the grandmothers would leave, and then they would start back talking. So that's what Michael learned from that.
Works. You notice I'm real quiet now, right?
That's funny. It's true. What do? I really do try to, as far as unconsciously or consciously, I'm trying to see what do I do consciously. I take care of them. I really do take care of them. I remind him of appointments. I make him go to the doctor. One of the things, could I share this?
You go right ahead.
Okay, and this would probably help other couples. Because a lot of times, some guys don't like to go to the doctor. This is telling our age, I was trying to get Michael to get a colonoscopy. His grandfather, the same one, passed away of colon cancer. And I kept saying, Michael, but see, he was out of town, so it was hard for him to get the appointment in. But even when he had moved back, I said, well, you got to get a colonoscopy. And one day he just said, why do you keep nagging me? And I said, okay, I'm good. I'm good. Eventually, he made the appointment. When the doctor came out with the results, he said, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 polyps. And so then they test the polyps. So then I'm looking at Michael like, you would have been out of here. So then they call you back. And so the doctor said, when they called back, that they were precancerous. So then he had to go back for the 3-year colonoscopy because he had the precancerous polyps. And so he said he had small ones, but they were precancerous. So I really take care of him. I make sure he does go. And it's a fight because you don't want to fight to try to make the person go. But I just try to do things. Oh, this is a good one. Michael loves football. He loves any sports. And you know, the Mercedes Stadium is here now and it's a big deal. But it's kind of expensive to go. So I was trying to find tickets where I could surprise him so he could go. I thought we both were going, and when I saw the tickets were $200 a piece, I said, well, both of us can't go to the game. So I bought him the ticket so he could go see the game. And he got to the stadium before I did, but he was a happy camper, and it was the Cowboys, right? So it was a big game. So we try to do things that we both, and he knows allowing me to travel, that is huge. He allows me to travel with other people. I went on a Mediterranean cruise for 12 days. I'm going to the Holy Land with Bishop and some other people. So he does allow me, and that's that, you know, by him working for the airline industry, I can't travel. So that is huge. So I'm happy, needless to say.
Well, we have the base of both loving the Lord, and that's a foundation that we both have. The praying, the tithing, all that together, that one of the values that keep us going. You want to add?
I will add, since it was 3, I will add. That's funny. We have a lot of things, but I'm not sure if this will fall under the values category, but we laugh a lot. We just have a good time, and we allow each other to be, as I mentioned earlier, ourselves. I don't try to, and I wrote in the book that Michael mentioned that you can't change the person. And I used to stress out over things. I used to stress out over how he dressed, what he said, how he said it. And I realized that's him. If he want to look crazy, if he want to talk crazy, that's him. But I had to allow him to be himself, because you don't want anybody going around correcting you all the time. So that's one of the things that I allowed. I did, didn't I? No?
Wait.
Just did? But just allow the person to be the true person, because you want the true personality. You don't want someone to be on pins and needles with their spouse. So we allow each other to be our individual selves, our true selves.
Well, I tell you what, the first way to get to the communication for the men, we have to be quiet so we can listen to our wives. When we were, as single men, we talk back, and a lot of us have a very strong men, and we are opinionated, and we want to feel strong, and I am one. But when you're with your spouse, your partner, and you're communicating, you want to make sure that you hear everything she is saying. And I have a technique that I use, and that technique is, I always have when we get into a deep conversation and we're communicating, I keep a bottle of water with me. So I start drinking that while she's talking. I can hear her, but I can't talk back. So that stops me.
That's hilarious.
Stop me from talking back while I'm drinking and swallowing. I want to say something, but I can't. But I hear what she's saying. So communication is that's part of communication that helps. You want to add to that?
I would add to that, because I lost my thought earlier, and that was the thing that I was going to say, is that we communicate about communicating. And you have to talk about everything, because there are a lot of times, some of the stuff or situations that you may find yourself in an argument is because of a misunderstanding. So if you talk about it, then you can see what the person was really thinking and where that person was coming from, and then you can add to that. But you have to communicate about communicating. And we have a check-in date once a week. We go out and we'll check in. You good? I'm good. You got any concerns? Do you?
I know.
So we do check in with each other, because there are times when you let so much time go by and something is festering in the other person and you don't even know it. So you need to just check in, and that may make the person remember or go ahead and talk about it at that time. But of course, if something is going on and it's not the check-in time, you can still talk, and we can reflect and process and what have you. For me, our stay together moment is, like I mentioned earlier, being friends. I think a lot of people get married because they're in love or in lust, and when the real issues or the real problems come, they're not able to, like we said, talk about it. But you decide that you want to be married, you decide that you have a partner for life. But I think being friends, going out, still you got to keep dating, because what happens, you get into your routine. You go to work, you go to church, you do everything the same way, you drive the same way. But when you break that up, we try to go to different places. We don't just have a regular spot. We go to different places all over Atlanta. And that makes you look at the person and say, oh, he looks cute in the Marriott Marquis, or he looks cute or handsome, blah, blah, blah. But we keep it going, we keep dating. We are friends, and we like each other as people. And I think what happens, people are in love, so when the love changes or evolves, whether it's good or bad, or children leave, then you find yourselves having to get rebranded. But for us, first of all, we did get married later in life, but because we got married later, we had a lot of nuggets. And my mother is a good source for us. She is an associate pastor in Memphis, and she's very good about relationships and just what we would think is common sense stuff, but it's not so common. So she helps me a lot, and I can use it in my counseling, and I can use it in my teaching and everywhere. So I would say those things that I mentioned earlier for me are the nuggets that have kept us going.
Well,
hit it, Mike.
Yeah, I hit it. The big thing that really stuck out for me was right when we got married. Two things happened that was just crucial in my life. I lost my mother, and I lost my job. So those are two, and then I'm walking down the aisle saying I do. And after saying I do, and not having my mother there, and also not having a job, this wonderful lady over here, most women probably would have said, "Stop the marriage." Stop the marriage. Let's stop it. But we kept going, and she was ride or die. She was stuck in there. And that right there was huge for me. And I realized at that point I got to keep her. So.
At that point, that point?
Well, we had only been dating for 2 years, so, at that point, yes.
That's funny.
Most men don't say no goals.
Oh, God.
We just get married. We find a lady. Hey, it's almost like, okay, man, I got the woman who I want. Pull her hair. Let's go. That's the goal. We got it.
That is hilarious. So, is that what you're
come on about? Here, woman. I'm pulling your hair. I got the club in my left hand. Got your hair in my right. Let's go. That's the goal. The goal for the man is to be
that
married.
Is funny. But it's true.
So
that's probably true.
Really don't have any goals for marriage. We just want to have peace of mind. That's the biggest goal for all men in a marriage. Peace of mind.
And that's a good one, because I think once I realized that men are, I don't want to say simple in a negative way, but men do not require as much as we do as women. And once I realized if I took care of those needs for Mike, then he's going to want to make me happy. And so that's pretty much what happened. And I think as time went on, we started making the goals. We made goals about how we're going to do the money. We started out saying one thing, and of course we had to try 2 or 3 things before it actually happened. We knew that we were going to go to the church that we chose. I waited until we got married, or right before we got married, before we joined the church together, because I didn't know if he wanted to go somewhere else, and then I would have joined and then have to rejoin somewhere else. So as we were going, as we evolved as a couple, I think we would refocus, rebrand, set the goals. And he's right. I think we started out, or I probably had goals, but we started out saying certain things, but as time went on and we realized our situation as far as him needing to work out of town, I ended up working at Columbus State for 1.5 years, and I literally drove there, which was kind of crazy, but it worked. And he allowed me to do it. And there were nights I had to spend the night there. So I think the goals, we had to kind of sit down and reset goals and discuss goals. And that's kind of how we, and I'm kind of like as he keeps referring to me, a butterfly. I'm a real creative people, kind of go with the flow, whatever would be. But you can't live life like that. So as we got in it, as we started doing things and things started to happen, we started, I guess, we come to that get together, have that meeting,
the check-in.
So we would start setting goals then, and so you have to hit the refresh button, set some more goals, because now we're looking at retirement, what we're gonna do. We're doing more things like this, more things where we're using our gifts to help other people.
And I have let the hair go and the club go.
And now we setting goals.
That's right. Well, if that man is ready, just make sure that he has everything himself together, financially, spiritually. If he's ready to be married, don't walk in and saying that you're not. Be a good listener. Be able to learn to step back, and you don't have to lead all the time. You can be the leader from behind. You don't have to be out front all the time.
That is great. So, that is awesome.
Thank you.
I like that.
So as a husband, you might see me right now, I'm a quiet leader. And I push this lady all the time. She'll tell you. I push her all the time. But I'm that quiet leader. She does all the talking. She does, if you see us together, You might think I'm a little shy, but I'm not. But allow her to be her, and I'm not going to try to outdo her because it's her show. It's her show all the time.
That's beautiful.
And I'm just.
And she likes it.
Yeah. So if you're willing to take a step back, because as single men, we out front.
Mm-hmm.
We taking charge. We in charge. But when you're together, it's time for you to, if you're willing to take that step back and be that quiet leader, it'll go a long way.
I like that. That's good. I would suggest to women looking to get married, first of all, every marriage is different. So you can't try to make your marriage like my marriage. You can't try to make it like the next person's. You have to look at your person, your personality, and his personality, and look at what you guys like. And as you guys asked earlier about the goals, so your marriage is different, and it's nothing. It's no right or wrong. It's what worked for the two of you. And we realized early on, because people did critique us or make comments about us living in separate cities as Michael was leaving to work, and we realized, and the other thing is, Michael worked where he could fly into leave one airport and fly home and get in the car and then go back to the airport and fly. So it wasn't like he had to drive home or buy tickets. Because he worked for the airlines, it was easy for him to commute. So that's one thing. Everybody's marriage is different. And we talked about it, and I realized, because what happened when Michael lost the first job, he wanted to stay in the airline industry. And I'm like, get a job. But I realized he needed to be happy. And if going to Charlotte, New Orleans, Dallas, all those places you went, if that made you happy, then that was fine. And so that's what I realized. So that's one thing that I would suggest. You figure out how you want your marriage to be and go from there. I mentioned earlier, you gotta laugh. Laughing goes a long way. When the sex changes to not as frequent as it was before, then, well, but if you keep laughing and you have fun and you enjoy each other, because that's what lasts. When you're 80, 90 years old, the laughing, the holding hands, the kiss on the cheek. I saw a guy singing to his wife. I don't know if y'all saw that on Facebook. They both were like late 90s, and he was singing to her as she was transitioning. See, that was sweet. So it's the things that you do in your own, when your relationship is what makes it go. So I wouldn't compare. You have to figure out how you want your relationship. You cannot look at anybody else. You got to keep laughing, and you got to keep dating. And you got to put God first, because that's what is going to keep you during those times.
Tough times.
Tough times. And there will be tough times. Ooh.
3 songs.
That is. Okay, you want to go first? He's the song person.
You know you got to have Luther.
That was not
House is not our home.
I'm thinking Luther also.
You got to get Prince in there. Do Me Baby.
Ooh.
What's one more?
I would say Al Jarreau. Not Al Jarreau. Al Green.
Al Jarreau.
Well, you know I like Al Jarreau because I like jazz. That's why I say he's the music person. But Al Green, let's stay together.
Okay, Al Jarreau.
I love Al Jarreau. Bless his heart. So I like jazz. He likes R&B, and he likes
soul.
So that's why I said he would know. But Luther is an all-time favorite because he does the love ballads. So anybody that's singing a love song,
right?
Will Downing.
See?
No. But anyway, he's the music person in that sense because I'm gospel and jazz, and he's R&B and soul. So go ahead with your list. You said Luther, House is Not at Home. I said Let's Stay Together.
Prince, Do Me Baby.
Do Me Baby. We go with those. I like the title.
That's why I said it. Hey,
it was good.
The title said Think of You, Do Me Baby. Okay?
That was good.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, for me, listen.
Complete sentence.
Listen.
Complete sentence.
Will you start? There we go.
She said, "Tell her." Say it. They don't know what the question is, sweetie.
Tell me what the question is.
And we talk a lot. And the biggest thing that I would say, other than what you said about the praying and the fasting. I fast, you know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's the and I just lost my thought. But I lost my thought.
Where'd you get those jeans? I haven't seen those. Are those new? Are those
Thank
new?
you. They are new.
I tell you, every day.
But you know, I'm taking back
Yeah, no.
Woods Park.
values.
3 core values that hold our marriage together. You like that, don't you?
Yes, that was very well said.